Dear friends, greetings. We are back with one more episode of Coach Excellence Coaching Conversations. And this time we have a fantastic and a seasoned coach of 12 years right from Malaysia. So, and also before I share the name of this coach, I also had the good fortune of attending a supervision session, though unfortunately I missed half of it, and the coach keeps reminding me of that. So that's none other than Coach Francis Penafort, and we are lucky to have Coach Francis. I will share why in short detail, and then I will request Coach to share a little about herself. Before that, I'll first say hello and greetings to Coach Dr. Francis.
Hi, Kiran. Thanks so much for inviting me for this session. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to have you, Doctor. And let me first share a little that I know about Dr. Francis, and then I would request Dr. Francis to herself to share a little, and we jump into the conversation. So, why I said fantastic, you'll get to know now. Coach Francis was the first elected president of ICF Malaysia chapter. Just not that. He is currently a board member of the ICF Global Thought Leadership Institute, was a board director of the ICF Global Enterprise Board, a board director of the ICF Ethics Global Board, and a member of the ICF Global Nominating Committee, and last but not the least, also a member of the ICF Core Competency Review Team. Now, that's not small or not a small achievement. So, we are honored to have Dr. Francis with us today. Now, over to Dr. Francis to share a little about herself before we jump into the conversation.
Thanks so much, Kiran. I'm really feel honored and really happy to be here. So a little bit about myself. I would say I have three chapters in my life. One of it is I started as an academic. That was my first job, first employment, and I worked in an academic institution in a university. I did my bachelor's, master's, and PhD.
Wow.
And the area that I did was in accounting. So I think I haven't met any PhD in accounting MCC
Good Lord.
holders yet. So that is also a fun fact for me. And then I moved into leadership facilitation, where I went around 11 countries in the world to facilitate leadership programs around mindset change, thinking like a winner, having that kind of mindset. And then I moved in my third chapter, I went to become an executive coach. And after becoming an executive coach, now I'm also a coach mentor to new student coaches.
Wow.
And then I'm also a coach supervisor to experienced senior coaches. And I facilitate on a coaching certification program. So I really feel like I've completed or going in a complete circle to in the field of coaching. Yeah.
That's
Thank
amazing.
you.
I think that's a, I should say, a big journey, and someone from who mastered in accounting and all the way
Yeah.
now uh, a fantastic coach. So, and also I heard you mentioning about the mentoring part, the supervisor part, and the facilitation part. Way too many hats, well handled simultaneously. I must say that. So, with that,
Thank
Coach Francis, allow me to jump into the conversation. So, with 12 years under your belt as a coach, what is coaching to you today?
So to me, coaching is a space where a coach creates with the client. And who is this client? The client is a human being with a soul.
Mm.
So the coach goes into the space of the client as a guest. And what does the coach do? The coach actually partners with him, partners with the client, and takes him on a journey to discover himself.
Mm.
So, in the process of discovering, the client gets and evokes some awareness and realizations about himself. and not just about himself, about the scenario he's facing, about the situation. And because it has evoked his awareness, what happens is the coach enables this client to actually start to see and embrace a transformation experience that's happening within the client. I think that's the power that coaching has. Just being with the client.
That's, I think, fantastic. I could sense the intensity, the depth with which you are sharing. Those moments, I cannot imagine what would that be like. But I was paying attention while you were sharing. The intensity and the authenticity with which you shared these lines itself was very powerful. So I was trying to quickly grab few pearls of wisdom from there, just to put together for the benefit of the audience. When you said it's the space of the client where the coach is a guest. That's so beautifully articulated. Apart from that, you mentioned it's a partnership with the client and on a journey, and the client is on a journey of self-discovery. I think no one would deny. Irrespective of how much learned we may feel, there is always a discovery waiting to be done. And I think a coaching conversation, in fact, is one of the most fertile space in which this discovery tends to happen. And last thing I can't miss is how you mentioned about it's the conversation evoking awareness in the coachee and enabling the client to embrace this opportunity of transformation. So it's a blockbuster opening way to even start this conversation. I must confess, acknowledge, and with that, let's move to the next one. From your understanding and experience so far, who can benefit from having a coaching conversation?
Thank you for that question, Kiran. So to me is every human being has a need, and their need are two things actually. One is, can you see me? I want to be seen. I want to be appreciated. I want to be acknowledged. I want to be validated. And the other need is, can you hear me? Are you listening to my words? So each individual wants to be seen and to be heard. And a coach does that. So your question about who actually can benefit from coaching is every human being. Every human being, no matter where they are, whether they are a parent, whether they are a sibling, whether they are a boss, whether they are a peer, whether they are subordinate, it doesn't matter. You can be a teacher, and you know your students there, they want to be seen and they want to be heard. So if you bring in coaching as a teacher and you validate the students, you will make them thrive. Their energy will come out. Isn't that beautiful when you are a teacher and you see that the energy is coming out? Or if you're a parent and you look at a child and you keep validating them, they just want to be seen and acknowledged, and you do that, suddenly their soul thrives, their whole being thrives. So who will benefit is every human being.
It was fabulous. And two things, I in fact traveled to my school times when you were referring to the teacher and the children, how the children look up to the teacher, and for that teacher, hearing them, seeing them itself is like a big reward for them. And if they pick their name, that made their day.
Yes.
And in fact, as you're sharing this, another small experience today while coming back from workplace, I saw a mother and a child playing in the park. I saw the mother was, I think, going behind the tree, trying to playing hide and seek, hiding. I saw the kid from far, and the kid ran to the mother, and the kid is hiding on the same tree on the other side. And they were playing. So I could sense how the child was seeing the mother and, in fact, was imitating exactly and was looking for acknowledgement from the mother that she is also repeating the same thing. So I think this, you touched on a very basic need of every human being. seen and heard. And I can vouch for one thing, as myself has got the opportunity to be a coachee often. Opportunity to be seen and heard is priceless. And how much, and you feel, as you mentioned in the first one, it's my space and I'm being heard, I'm being seen. Beautiful. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for that. And validating the often reiterated line by every coach. There is no exception. Anyone and everyone can benefit from having a coach and a coaching conversation. So with that, let's move to a third one, a little fancy question. Myths are something common. You name it, around that there can be a myth. And I'm sure coaching is no exception. What is that one myth about coaching that you'd like to burst today for the benefit of our audience?
Okay. So to me, I do a I facilitate a coach certification program. So when I speak to people to invite them to enroll in the coach certification program, I can hear a lot of reasons that are stopping them, that have a fear, they have a fear around coaching. So what is that fear? Oh, I don't think I'm cut out for coaching. Oh, I don't think I have the attributes to be a coach. Oh, I don't think that's a profession for me. So they carry this myth around them that coaching is for some elite group. But that's so untrue. Even as a parent, you can learn how to be a coach. Even as a teacher, you can learn how to be a coach. Even as a boss, you can learn how to be a coach. So, coaching is such an important skill when you're dealing with human beings. If you're dealing with the robots, then maybe you don't need. But in today's world, we are dealing with human beings. We can't run away from that. So coaching, that myth that you think you need to have some special ability, then you can be a coach. That's a myth, and I want to really burst that myth.
That's so true. When you are sharing, one thing comes to my mind is, as someone who went through that learning curve and practice, it definitely does one thing to anyone who goes through this journey. And to me, that's makes that person a better human being.
Yes.
When I am a better human being, and I'm sure I will be playing a constructive role in every relationship that I am along with someone, parent, brother, child, colleague, leader. So I think the benefits I sense that starts coming from within and spontaneous, without having to, without need for validation. You are a better member of the society at me.
Yes.
That's what comes to my mind. Thanks a lot for bursting that myth around coaching. With that, let's move to, thank you. With that, let's move to the next one. I'm sure you had hours and hours of coaching conversations. From all these, any one coaching memory that you can share with the audience while taking care of the confidentiality part of it, something that stood out?
Yep. So thanks for this question, Kiran. I do recall recently a leader whom I coach. He's really very good in his work. So he's able to analyze, he's able to prepare reports, he's able to do very good presentations to the board as well as to the to the chairman and the board. And every time he does the presentation, everybody is like, wow, this is such a good presentation. As soon as that is over, the board, the members of the board directors or the chairman will start to throw some questions. We want to ask you about this, and we have this question about this. And when that happens, immediately he said he can feel his whole body closing up. So what he does is he says he starts to move his chair a bit backwards and starts to look down and then looks to the side He's looking to his boss to answer those questions.
Oh.
So then he came for the coaching session and he said, I'm not sure why I'm doing that. I don't like what I'm doing. So I asked him what is his goal. And then I asked him, what is his purpose in being there? And then he told me, of course, to present the data, the statistics, the information, the board needs that. So are you the right person to present? Of course, I'm the right person to present because I'm the one who is in charge of this and I'm the one who's doing this and I know all the analytics and so if you're the right person, what is the value inside you that you want to share? Oh, I have to think about that. And he thought about it for a while and then he said, actually, I have a value of contributing. So contribution is an important value to you. Yes, that's why I do it so well and I present so well because I want to contribute whatever I've got as the data to the board. Very interesting. So when you keep quiet, who is that? Are you a contributor? Oh, immediately he didn't like that. Why? Why? That's my value. Why am I shying away? Why am I not answering? I should be answering because that's my value and it's important to me. So I said, you sound like you're a wallflower, just pasted on the wall like a flower only to be there. He said, no. So I challenged him. So then he said, I know why I'm not answering. I'm so afraid. I have a fear that I will say the wrong thing, make a mistake, fumble in front of my boss and in front of the chairman, in front of all the directors. If that is the case, I said, then you're not the right person. He said, no, I am the right person because I'm the only one this is my work. So I said, if you're the right person, what should be the right thing to do at that time when questions are thrown to you about your work? That immediately that unlocked that part of you. He knew that that was his role. He knew he's not a wallflower. He knew that he is the best person to answer that because it is his role and his job, and he is on top of everything. Whoa, that just liberated him, gave him that power. So he started to become more engaged in his daily tasks. He even communicated directly with the board chairman. When the board chairman asked him any question, he responded quickly and with ease. He said his boss got shocked because in 3.5 years, he has never done it. So in one coaching session, he unlocked that part of him as a leader. So I felt so fulfilled that I was present in his work and I supported him in realizing creating and evoking his awareness. And then he taking on that experience and transforming himself. He refused to let that go. He wanted to shine with all his value of contributing.
Amazing.
Isn't that amazing?
That's so beautiful. In fact,
Of coaching.
Absolutely. And in fact, I was pulling out the sheet where I was first making notes because it took me to the first question where you said the coach visits the space of the client as a guest.
Okay.
And a very interesting layer came here, which is challenging the client, coachee here, and then enabling the client to embrace his own transformation. I think that's what we witnessed in this beautiful experience, that memory that you shared. Thanks a lot for that, Dr. Francis.
Yeah.
So with that, let's move to something probably which could be even more interesting.
Yeah.
The ACC, PCC, and MCC part is one. However, often continuing development plays a vital role. So, as a coach and during your own continuing development, what are some tools that you have learned? And it would be great if you can share one.
Yes. In coaching, actually, I enjoy this journey of continuing development, and it's part of the core competencies for a coach to actually continue their development, to learn new tools, to learn new techniques, to learn new systems. So I embarked on a program, and it was called Systemic Intelligence for Coaches. When I heard the title, I was like intrigued. What? Systemic intelligence sounds so scientific. And when I enrolled for the course, I learned so many new things. And I learned that every individual, our client, is actually part of a system. And in that system, there is energy. And every part of that system, the energy itself will be interacting with each other. And that will help to impact the client and how he responds, how his behavior is. So as coaches, I feel we too need to learn what is the existing energy field that the client is in or he's coming from. And in the ICF Core Competencies 1, 2, 4, and 6, yeah, all these 4 competencies, they say in nearly the same words, the coach needs to be aware, okay, to understand the context of the client, the culture of the client, the environment of the client. So, what are they asking us to do? They're actually asking us to understand the system in which the client is in. So, once we can know the system, we can get a glimpse of the energy flowing in the system of the client. So the client will come to the coach when part of the energy is not flowing smoothly, but rather that piece, that part of the energy, he's stuck. Energy is not flowing. So what the coach can do is to help the client unstuck the energy. But how do you do that? So in systemic intelligence, they taught us one tool, and that tool is called constellation. So constellation is actually using pieces. It can be any pieces. It can be matchsticks. It can be the salt and pepper shakers. It can be wooden blocks like this. Yeah, yeah. It can be any. So all these pieces, like you will use a maximum of 4. So all these pieces can represent different elements for the client. So the client will arrange. So the client brings a case to the coach, and the coach asks him, so what are the most important people or elements in the system? So he says, oh, there's me, then there's my boss, then there is one of my staff, that's this, and maybe the HR. So he brings in these are the people that really impacting his system right now for that scenario, for that situation. So what we do as a coach is ask him to arrange all the pieces. So he arranges, okay, it's me, I'm looking towards my boss is looking towards me, and then so that's one piece. So what about the other pieces? Oh, I can see that this person, the HR is looking away. And the HR is very close to this. Okay, so whoever this person is. So then we just let him arrange. So after he arranges, we help him to unpack this. So we ask him questions like, when you're doing the arrangement, how come there is a distance between you and your boss?
Mm.
So he will explain, oh, you see, my boss, we always have this. So whatever the story, he will unpack. Oh, I see. So there is a distance. And how come the arrows are facing each other? Oh, my boss is very supportive of me. So let him tell his story through the pieces.
Got.
And then, so who is creating? Oh, this is my subordinate, who is always lazy or absent or this. Then why is it stuck to the HR? Yeah, I don't know what is happening, but he is getting influenced by HR. HR is being influenced. He will tell the story as it is. So why are they looking away? Yeah,
Mm.
that's one issue. So
Mm.
what is it? What is it? Why are they like rejecting you? So he gets to see underneath what he's not seeing, underneath the waterline. He
Got.
gets to see how the energy is, and then he gets a clue. Oh, they are rejecting me because dot 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 dot. So he himself gets to see the energy. He himself unpacks. He himself understands who is supporting. He himself see who is rejecting. He himself sees the connection. He himself can see his distance from the HR. There is a big gap here. So he can see that, and then he will unpack and say, now I know what to do.
Mm.
So I said, what do you mean you know what to do? I've already got the support of my boss. Now I have to get the support of my HR. I'm not connecting with them enough. I'm not
Mm.
telling them enough. So the gap between me and the HR is too wide. So he himself can unpack and see that the energy is stuck here. And then
Yeah.
why are these people stuck? They shouldn't be stuck. They should be separate. So then he will talk to HR to explain what is there. Then HR will not be influenced by this guy, and this guy will not be influenced by him. So he will understand how to unpack his own scenario. So this is called constellation. This is the power of constellation. And this is a tool in systemic intelligence. So within a few minutes, you can help a client who is facing very complex situation. Oh my God, I don't know what to do. My HR is like this. My client, my subordinate is like this. So the stories are going on and on and on. And you say, okay, hold on. Let's use the constellation pieces. And within a few minutes, you can unpack. He can unpack it. He can see his way forward. I think that's the amazing thing about constellation.
Fantastic. I think more than the topic, the way you explained it in such a short span now made me quite curious about this as subject of systemic intelligence. I'm going to spend, I think, some good amount of time to understand about it as well as the constellation that you mentioned. And I could see that it's a very beautiful hands-on and eyes-on kind of a tool, because the person is instrumental in putting those pieces, which way they are, how far they are from each other. And then I think that inner, deeper journey seems to be happening where they are attempting to unravel it and realign it, hopefully, the way they wish to see it going forward.
Yes.
That makes me curious about one aspect, suddenly came to me as impromptu. As there is a big visual element to this. Do you see that in coaching conversations? I often hear some are auditory, some are visual kind of. Did you get to see or sense that this tool works better for the visual preferring coaches or clients? Just got
Okay.
curious about.
Very interesting. Very interesting. So in systemic intelligence, they say a lot of the things which the client says, there is a deeper meaning. So in coaching competency number 6, active listening, we are supposed to listen for the client to what the client is saying and what the client is not saying.
True.
So what we are doing is when we put it on the surface, this is what the client is saying. But we want the client to go under the waterline and to see what is it he's not saying. So we will surface it to the top and then he can see it. Oh, I know. Now I know. So it speeds up the process of realization for him. So whether you're visually or auditory, it can still work because when he's saying the story, it's all auditory, auditory, auditory. But when he fixes the pieces and chooses the direction and the distance, that's the visual aspect. So both, I think, will actually benefit.
This powerful tool, I'm sure I strongly urge the audience also to check out what systemic intelligence is and what it can do to yourself as well as your coaching conversations. So with that, we come to the end of the conversation. However, there is one last bonus question with which you need to help us and our audience. Today, there are several and many more number of professionals who are considering becoming coaches on a part-time or a full-time basis. What would that one advice be from you for the wannabe coaches?
Okay, so because I facilitate on a coach certification program,
Better
I can
suited.
see. Huh?
So you are the most apt person to be advising or guiding the wannabe coaches.
Yeah. So I can see this similar trait or pattern resurfacing, re-emerging. And that is when they start the coaching, their space, they are supposed to enter the space of the client as a guest. But what is happening to them is, as you observe their eyes, their brain is taking them. Am I doing well as a coach? Am I performing well? Am I following the 8 core competency? Am I doing this correctly? Is this right? Am I asking the right question? Am I doing... So the performance of coaching, am I coaching properly? The performance overtakes them. And when it overtakes them, their energy shifts from the client to the performance. And guess what happens to the client? The client can sense it. The client can feel it. And the client can feel two things. You're not seeing me and you're not hearing me. Because the coach is not listening actively to the client, the question that comes out from the coach's mouth, there is a gap between what the client is saying and what the coach is asking.
Right.
So the coach is coming from the head, thinking, okay, what would be a nice, good question to ask? I have to ask a really nice, right question. But that's not coaching. Coaching is you listen to the client, you see him, you be with him. What he's saying is his pain. And your question that comes up is to ask about that pain. And when we ask that question related to what the client has said, that question is a powerful question. So you don't really need to worry. You don't really need to worry, okay, what would be a nice question? What would be? No need. Just be in the space as a guest to the client. And if you're listening actively, the question that comes, perfect, beautiful, powerful question. So less of you, more of the client. And that coaching session will be so powerful. No matter how new you are to coaching, you are really making an awareness and evoking awareness and transforming the client's thinking and being. And that's what coaching is. That's the goal of coaching.
The confidence and your body language itself telling the coaches please make it about the coachee and the conversation. And from what you are sharing, quickly one line arrived to me was, question in context alone can be a powerful question. And if you want to do that, you have to make sure that the focus is on the coachee and what the coachee is sharing, and not on how my performance is, and thereby compromising the most basic thing, seeing and hearing the coachee. And this always happens, right? I can be in the midst of a group, loud conversation, but not hear a single thing because my mind is not there. So amazing. Thanks a lot for that, Dr. Francis. It was a visual delight for me to see how you are emphasizing from within that this is how a great coaching conversation can be. And I'm sure this part will support all the wannabe coaches. Thanks a lot. A very outstanding way of putting it forward for the benefit of all of us. Thanks a lot for that. And with that, we come to the end of the conversation. And at this point, I am too tempted to inquire. I'm sure a lot of the audience would be, is for those who are interested to get in touch with you, what would be the easiest way to reach Dr. Francis?
There are two ways. One is on LinkedIn, Francis Penafort on LinkedIn, and the other one is through my website, which will be coming out soon because it's under construction. So it's www.francispenafort.com.
Fabulous. I'll go ahead and feature it, and I'll also update it as soon as the website is out in the open. So thanks a lot for that. And with that, we come to the end of the conversation. And for all the audience, I hope the conversation was supportive to all of you in some way. And to me, I am the first beneficiary. And please feel free to share this episode with all your friends and those whom you feel will benefit from watching this conversation. In fact, I would say this beautiful conversation. And if you have any questions or queries, please feel free to drop in a line in the comment section. I myself or Dr. Francis will be glad to answer, and that's our promise. And if you have liked this session, please go ahead and hit the like button. That's how we get to know that you have enjoyed this conversation. And go ahead and hit the subscribe button so that you get an alert on every next conversation episode that gets uploaded. And till we meet again, please be safe and keep smiling. And before we go, one more time, a big thanks to Coach Dr. Francis for making time out and making this beautiful conversation happen. And to me, this will stand out as one of the best conversations I had in this series. Thanks a lot, Dr. Francis.
Thank you. Thank you, Kiran.
God bless.